All right. Hi, I'm Rich Fink from the Western Loudon Art and Studio Tour, and I have the pleasure today of interviewing Richard Busch, one of our great potters in Western Loudon County. Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Morning, Rich.
Good, good. Listen, I'd like to start the interview by just asking you to just tell me give me some information about your artist journey and how you got to be a potter and that type of thing.
Okay, well, I kind of have had a sort of creative impulse for many years, going back to the '60s. And way back then, I was into writing and editing and photography, and that translated to a long career. And came down to Virginia in 1988 for a job at National Geographic to edit
Oh,
the travel magazine. And while I was there, I started taking pottery classes at the local community center, and I got hooked. And it was like no turning back. I just loved it and thought this is really what I'd like to do in, retirement.
oh, that's great. That's great. So you've said you've had kind of like a creative streak most of your life, and what other types of media did have you worked with?
Well, the second love that I have is photography, and I've been doing photography since the late 1960s. I'm dating myself. And I
How long?
was I was very much into the counterculture and rock music and all that stuff, and so did a whole lot of that. And I still do photography, and I've been doing books and so forth. But right now, for pottery is kind of my main thrust as far as the studio tour is concerned.
My question is, so when it comes to your pottery, what inspires you?
Well, I've been inspired from the beginning of this is 30 years back now. I've been inspired by Japanese and Oriental pottery a lot. And one of my big hero potter is a Japanese potter named Shoji Hamada, and he did wonderful work. He's one of the great potters of all time. And there was something about his aesthetic and his spirit and his drive, all that I just kind of picked up on. And so when I retired from the magazine work and moved out to Loudon, that was 22 years ago,
Hmm.
I wanted to set up a studio because this was my new career kind of. So we
Right.
bought this old farm, former dairy farm, and I set up a big studio in the lower level, built a kiln, and just kind of got, drawn along the path, and it's continued all the time. I'm at it all the time.
In terms of your pottery and
Right.
what you look for in your pottery. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. I like to make things that can be used by anybody for any purpose. So the work that I make is functional. It's water resistant. It can be put in the microwave. It can be put in the dishwasher. So I want functionality, but of course I want beauty at the same time. And that's the quest, is to find ways to make forms, shapes,
Right.
and apply glazes to get various color effects. And the combination of trying to make something both functional and beautiful it's a joining together of elements that I find endlessly fascinating and enjoyable.
That's really good. What I would like to do now is to go back and show you the three images that I picked from your juried selections, and we could
Yeah,
talk about them a little bit. Is that okay?
sure,
All
sure.
right. Let me get to that. Okay, so here we have three
Yeah,
that are very interesting. Let's start with the one on the left side.
right.
What I really like this design, Richard. I do have a question though, because it's a little tough for me to judge. What size is that container on the left?
Off the top, I can't tell you exactly, but it's around 13 inches, 14 inches, something
Okay.
like that. I
And
call that a melon. It's a melon vase. That's my name for it. And when the
melon.
clay is when I form the shape and it's still got some moisture in it, it has to dry for a few hours. I'll take a stick, a rib, and I'll create those ridges, and
Oh,
it creates a melon feel to it, which I've been doing that for a long time, and that's another one of these things that never gets old. And this is a glaze that I like a lot. It's called Oribe, O-R-I-B-E. It's a Oriental glaze, and it's one that I've used over and over again for years.
hmm. Well, it's really beautiful. The next one,
It's a plate.
a plate, right? Like
Yeah.
a this, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you put into it the uh, branches from something. Did you?
Yeah. It's
What?
about 12 inches square.
Uh-huh.
And I have a machine called a slab roller, so I can roll the clay out to any thickness that I want. And in this case, I just cut it roughly square, and uh, and then I put an impression. I've been putting impressions in plates for quite a few years now. This is an arborvitae branch. We have arborvitae trees on the property, and I
Oh,
find them very attractive shapes and forms. And so I'll take that actual branch and put it on the plate and take a rolling pin to impress the shape into the clay. And of course, it stays that way. And then I glazed it after it was fired once. Then I apply glaze to before the second firing. And in this case, it's a glaze that I use a lot also called yellow celadon. And that's an Oriental glaze that I like a lot. And it's a good, reliable glaze, good, it's food safe and dishwasher safe and all that. And so those are two interesting examples that you chose because they're examples of different things. And
right.
the other one on the right, the plate, that's a round plate, obviously, that was formed on the wheel. And this one is about 12 to 13 inches in diameter, and it's about an inch thick, or an inch from the high from the bottom if it's lying flat. And this one I use two glazes. One is a white glaze. It is a nice pure white glaze, and the splat is done with a glaze that is blue with cobalt in the glaze. And I'll
Oh,
take a brush, and when the glaze is really thick, I'll put the plate on the floor and just hit it, splat it, bang. And I
really?
get these
Wow.
very interesting sort of dynamic feel to the gesture. It's the gesture has a little. I find it lively. So I've been doing splatters for years as well. These are other things. So one week I'll be working on plates, another week I'll be working on splats.
Right. So yeah, this the splat, as you call it, is kind of a an abstract an abstract element of this particular plate.
Yeah, it's kind of a Jackson Pollock type of.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's
Not that I'm
great. That's
comparing
great.
myself to Jackson Pollock.
Right. Okay. Well, let me move back from these. These are really all excellent, Richard. They truly are in their own way. And I thank you so much for giving us the details of the technique in producing these. It's very interesting.
There's,
Um,
Rich, there's one other thing, if you have a moment.
oh, sure.
Uh, I think you might be interested in new directions. And for the last few weeks during the virus, of course, I've been here at the farm most of the time, and I've been working on a new form that's behind me. It's a fish shape, and I made a mold of a fish and pressed
Yeah,
the clay from the slab onto the mold. and it's over my, let's see, it's over my
Richard.
right shoulder there. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. These
Hang on
are,
one second. Richard, hang on one second, because I want to move these pictures out of the way so we can see the fish thing that you're
yeah,
talking about. So just give me 1 second, okay?
sure. Yeah, there
Hey,
we
here
are.
we are. And
Yeah,
I see the fish.
that guy right there. Yeah. So I've been playing around. I've made a bunch of these over the last few weeks, and they're 17 inches long by 10 inches high, and 1 inch thick. About they're platters. They're useful for well, you can serve fish on it, kind of appropriately. But I find the fish shape an interesting shape, and so this is one of these new things that I hadn't done before. And every once in a while, you get an idea to try something, and so I've been pursuing that for a while.
Okay, great. So is this fish thing like a collection for you, a new collection coming up? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's just a new, an additional, an add-on to what I've been doing all along. You know, vases and plates and bowls and so forth. It's just a new, trying a new thing, and you know, and I think it's functional. It's a platter to be used at the table as a serving platter, and it's again, it's just another chance to branch out a little and explore another direction for a while.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So if viewers of this video decide that they want to see more of your work and maybe buy from you directly, how would they get online to get that information?
Okay, well, I've got a website, glenfarmpottery.com. It's GLEN farmpottery.com. I don't spend a lot of time on my website, so it's kind of old. I need to work on it. Or they can contact me at glenfarmpottery at AOL, and that's an easy way to reach me. And they can call me, 703-201-0977. I have a showroom here where I'm talking from. I've got, several hundred pieces here. And I'm happy to show people around. During the coronavirus, it would have to be kind of like, one or a couple of people at a time. And that's cool. As long as everybody wears masks. And so people can, call and pick a time and come out.
So they can set up.
One other thing I'd like to mention is that for the last couple of years, I've been teaching beginners how to make a bowl in one easy lesson. And so people come out and for $40, they get a lesson and they make a bowl, and I take the process beyond that, drying, glazing, firing, and all that, and then they come and pick it up a couple of weeks later. So it's people, and then people walk, they have the experience of having a lesson, first touching the clay for the first time, and then at the end of it, they go home with a bowl that they can use for the rest of their lives.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you very much, Richard. Thank you for allowing me to interview you today, and it's been wonderful talking to you.
Same here, Rich. I appreciate your time and attention. I'm very grateful. Thanks a lot.
You have a wonderful day and stay safe and healthy.
You too. All right.
Take care.